I'm Marge Innes. I'm the voter service chair for the Adams County League of Women Voters. I will be conducting the meeting, and your candidates will be up here in front of you. The League of Women Voters also puts out a ballot issue pamphlet, and we have some of these in the back of the room. Our purpose is to familiarize the public with who you're voting for and what you're voting on. We're going to start tonight with these three candidates who are unopposed in their wards, and we'll let them, first of all, introduce themselves, and they have 3 minutes to do that. You can say whatever you want to say, tell who you are, why you're running, and what you think you've accomplished if you've been on council for a while. Go ahead, Megan.
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Megan Burns. I am running for City Council member of Ward 1. I was appointed back in March, so I'm fairly new to the City Council, but I'm hoping I'm making a great impact. I am running basically for the future. I recently had a baby, and I knew that this was super important to be here to introduce myself and sort of meet everyone and to put my face out there for North Glen. So, hi at home. She's 5 weeks old, so I hope she's not watching too much screen time. But yeah, I'm running, and I'm really passionate about North Glen. It reminds me of my hometown. I grew up outside of Philadelphia in the suburbs, and the community here is amazing. As soon as we moved in, we got our welcome packet because, you know, as a millennial, my husband and I were lucky enough to buy our first home here in North Glen, which is not the case for a lot of young folks my age. And we chose North Glen based on its strong community. And I'm running for the future for my children, for the future of North Glen, to make sure that they have the resources that they need, that they can feel safe, and to keep communities like North Glen close-knit and happy and joyful and bright. And yeah, that is why I'm running. And I'm also want to be a beacon for other moms, young moms out there, that we can be involved and have our voices heard, especially, you know, when only 5% of our federal government is represented by moms with children under the age of 18, but we're 35% of the population. So shout out to moms, we can do it all, for real, kind of, maybe with some help. And yeah, I am excited to be here and meet everyone and share my answers. Thank you.
Okay. Catherine.
Well, hello everyone. I want to thank you first of all for those who are here in person and everybody at home, because it's really important to get to know who is going to be running to be on the City Council. What City Council does impacts your everyday life more than any other level of government, and that's what I believe. I wanted to introduce myself. I've lived in North Glen for almost 14 years. I'm a retired Adams 12 teacher, so I've worked in this community for my career. I know what families and children are dealing with, so I speak from that perspective as a teacher. I'm also a mother and a grandmother, and so I also am planning for the future and thinking about how we can make the world a better place for the next generations. I got involved in city government here in North Glen by being on the Citizens Affairs Board. That was my first introduction to giving some input into what happens in our community. And then 4 years ago was elected to North Glen City Council. On a personal note, I love to play pickleball, so I'm the pickleball advocate on City Council, and I also love to knit, so that's just a little bit about me. I did want to point out that 4 years ago, I promised to increase resident involvement in city affairs, and during my 4 years on City Council, I was involved in creating the Diversity, Inclusivity, and Social Equity Board, which is a board made of volunteers from our community, and also the CCPP, which, if I can remember what it stands for properly, it's the Citizens Police Program. I'm sure I said that wrong. Sorry, Jean. But and that's also composed of members of our community. So that's two ways that we have encouraged more involvement. We are also looking into a program that is going to do text messages to residents who sign up to get further information. So that will be coming online pretty soon, and that's something that Megan will propose. I also promised to work on health and safety. And I would say that right now I'm the president of the Colorado Communities for Climate Action. And that is one way that I work toward bettering the health of our residents by keeping our air and water as clean as possible. And I see I'm going to run out of time. So I just want to wrap up by saying I consider it an honor to serve the people of Northglenn. I love living here, and I learned a lot during my time in council and met many wonderful people, some of you out there. And I sometimes wonder why we're called a council member. It's a little bit awkward in my mouth instead of a counselor. But that language is important. And I also wanted to point out to people that we are considering on the ballot measure to change our city charter to be silent neutral or gender silent. Oh my goodness, I'm so nervous. Anyway, gender silent means that instead of saying a he for the council members, it would say council member. So I just want you to consider that, and thank you very much.
Okay, Shannon?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for being here, and also to the League of Women Voters for hosting this in the city of Northglenn. I think it is important, although all of us are running unopposed, as mentioned, that we are here, that we are present, that we make sure that our community knows that we are excited and honored to serve again, whether unopposed or not. I don't think it makes a difference. I would be here. I actually have a meeting next door right after this, so it keeps me very, very busy. My name is Shannon Lukman-Hiramasa. I'm running for the 4-year term in Ward 4. So I've been honored to serve since 2021. I was appointed and then elected. I did start on the Community Co-Production Policing Advisory Board. It is a mouthful, see, it's hard to say afterwards, CCPP board. And that's how I started in serving my community. I've served in other ways. I'm a small business owner, so I own 5 locations of self-defense studios called Colorado Krav Maga. It's an Israeli form of self-defense, and so with that I will say that my heart goes out to all my Israeli friends right now who are suffering. I just thought I would say that. But as a small business owner with businesses across 5 cities and 5 counties, I've had a lot of experience in navigating the ups and downs and the different ordinances and rules and regulations just within different counties and communities. So it gives me a different perspective when we are discussing certain ordinances and whatnot, because I do have that in the back of my mind. Okay, so if I were in one of these other cities, it probably wouldn't be as easy, and that's a compliment to Northglenn. We work hard to make sure that happens. I am very excited to continue to serve in the next 4 years. I'm proud of a lot of things. It's hard for me to just name one. One of the things that's really important to me, of course, is public safety and the use of the ARPA funds for the Crisis Response Unit. I believe strongly that we really have to find a way to continue to fund that moving forward, because it is such a good service to our community in conjunction with our police department. So definitely need to keep our eyes on that as well. So that's one of the things I'm proud of. We've done a lot of great things. We have the first true net zero city hall opening hopefully at the end of fall in 2024 approximately. We've accomplished a lot of things. We've poured and invested a lot into our roads. But a little bit about me, I'm jumping all over the place. I'm a mom and a grandma as well. I've lived all over the world. Puerto Rico, my mother's Puerto Rican, I speak Spanish. I've lived in the jungles of Belize. I've had a lot of exposure to different cultures and languages and people, and I think that makes me a great council member. Thank you.
I solicited questions from our league members, and one of them was a former Northglenn council member. And she was worried about the financial situation of Northglenn. And so I'd like each one of you to comment on how you think the financial situation is, and whether you'll be able to pay for all these new buildings and so on. So we'll start this time with Shannon.
Okay, great. We'll just jump right in there. It's a valid concern, and I think it's important for all of us moving forward, and us that are unopposed and those new council members coming in, to keep an eye on the money. We are looking into the future. So we were presented with our budget for this year, proposed budget, and we're getting a little bit low in our reserve funds for our general funds, and that's kind of our cushion, our nest egg, if you will. So looking into the future, I think it's important for us to, perhaps we'll have to make some difficult calls. That's unseen. There are things that are in the works right now that can affect the fund balance. So for example, that 0.5% sales tax extension, where public safety is listed first, and other things, that is something that we won't know until after the November elections. That can go towards that. We have a lot of development still happening here in the city. The Northland Marketplace, which is in my ward, and I'm very proud of. When I came on council, it was one of the biggest concerns, is almost at capacity. We have pros coming in that's bringing in about 200 jobs that will attract more high-value businesses, if you will, that can bring in more revenue and increase our sales tax. We have, in Section 36, we just approved the oil and gas, so that is also potentially going to bring in quite a bit of revenue down the road in taxes. So there are things that will pad that fund, but depending on those outcomes in the election, I think that's when we can take a good look and figure out, how we're going to continue to build up those reserve funds again. And looking 5 years out, what is that going to look like? Big projects, we've funded the ones that we have right now. So for example, the completion of City Hall is cash, so there's no bonds issued for that. But wastewater treatment facility is something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Thank you.
Catherine.
Thank you. I share a lot of the same concerns that Shannon mentioned, but I will say that the big projects that we have in progress right now are paid for. We don't have to worry about running out of funds for those. And we did approve our budget for next year based on some conservative projections. Now, if things turn out to be worse than expected, then of course we can always make adjustments. And for that, I would say during when COVID hit, we had, as a city council, we had to pivot really quickly and make a lot of changes and reorganize and do things differently than we had done before. And of course, some of that was to cut the budget. So I know we can do that if we need to. At this point, I feel pretty confident that we have enough of a cushion. We're doing well, projections look good, and I personally am not worried about it.
Okay. Megan.
Thank you. This is my first time going through the budget process on City Council, and it's definitely been an interesting experience, and I think I share a lot of the same concerns as Shannon and Catherine. And I also want to say that as a resident, I like to know that our city council is using our funds wisely, our tax dollars, to do things like improve our city, like improve our parks, public safety, making cool new classes at the rec center, like all of those things our tax dollars go towards, and I love that, while also still being fiscally responsible and providing that 25% cushion of our general funds, as well as sort of future looking, like looking at our wastewater treatment plant and sort of like looking at aquifers to make sure that we have water in the future. And I think we're doing a really good job of maintaining the budget for the present while projecting and making smart decisions for the future as well. Yeah, and that is all I have to say on that.
Okay.
They all said great things as well, so.
This will be the last question. What do you like about living in North Glen? Why do you enjoy living here? Is there anything you'd change? Start with Megan.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, like my family chose to live here fairly recently. We moved here about 1.5 years ago, and we moved here for like the strong community feel of North Glen. We're a small city with big vibes, and I love that. And I think, I got involved in the city, so I also started my journey by joining CAB for Ward 1 and sort of like having my voice heard. I grew up on the East Coast, so snow removal on the west out here is a little dicey for me. So I would love to see some improvements on that, as well as wider sidewalks on Grant by 104th, which is close to where I live. And those are sort of my big things right now, because I just really want to be able to fit my jogging stroller on those sidewalks safely. But yeah, I mean, North Glen is great. There's a reason we all live here. We have so many residents who have lived here for longer than I've been alive, and I think that's so special and so important. And we have so many young families like myself who are moving here as well, and sort of creating this like great inclusive culture here that I would love to continue to foster and grow. But I love living here. It makes me so happy. So yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Catherine.
Thank you. How can I say anything but that I love to live in North Glen? I've lived here, like I said, about 14 years with my husband, and I've gotten to know our neighbors almost immediately, so we've developed some very close friendships with people in our neighborhood, and one of our neighbors recently moved to Arizona, and that had to do with the cost of housing. So that is something that that City Council is looking at, and I will continue to advocate for more affordable housing or more options for housing. But anyway, our friendship is such that we keep in touch with him. We went down and visited him and his wife not long ago. So that's really, to me, what North Glen is about. It's the community, it's the friendships you make with your neighbors, the people you meet at the park, the people I meet on City Council, whether they're asking for help with, an elderly citizen asking for help with a large item removal. I also recently got an invitation to a birthday party for a woman who turned 100 years old in Ward 3, and she bought her house and has lived in Ward 3, her entire adult life. She was one of the first families to move into the community, and so she's seen a lot. And I also am very encouraged to see the children that are moving into the neighborhood. My immediate neighbor is having a baby this month, so this is a wonderful community to raise your family. I see that we have been able to take care of our seniors, and I hope that we continue to do that.
Okay. Shannon.
Thank you. I just feel so incredibly lucky to have found North Glen as my forever home. I feel like I've been adopted like a puppy. But I absolutely love it. It's been the best thing. When we moved here, we were parents and our kids were still in school. I mean, we still are parents. But now we're grandparents, and it's just amazing. Especially where I live, I can walk out my back door and I will hit the trails with my grandkids and walk to a park. The Northwest Open Space is right there. We have just the great mix of everything in the city, from open space and trails to now we have pros, so we're gonna have beer here. I mean, you really can't ask for much more. It's a safe place to live, and I'm really excited about working hard to maintain that safety, to maintain a safe place to live for my grandkids when they come and visit. I also know my neighbors. I mean, if you drive around my house, you'll know where I live because it's all my neighbors who have my signs. It's all my friends. But we're very close and we talk to each other, and I think that sense of community is important, and knowing your neighbors is important for a lot of things, right? If you need someone to rely on, it's also important for safety, neighborhood watch, just that sense of community as well. We are a small city with that. I like the big vibes. That's a very millennial thing to say. It's a beautiful city. If I could change, I agree with the sidewalks. I have walked down in my neighborhood and the sidewalks are this big, and so those new strollers don't quite go down those sidewalks very easily. So I absolutely agree with that. Other things that I would change, I don't know that there's a whole lot. I'd like to continue to grow and bring new people in, but also maintain that neighborhood feel, the feel that makes North Glen special. I think that's important.
Okay.
Saved by Bell.
Okay, thank you very much, three of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Election.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, all those that are watching tonight. We're glad to have you join us. I'm Marge Ennis, Voter Service Chair of League of Women Voters of Adams County. Our purpose is to acquaint the public with the slates of officers and people who are running in various positions, and also we have a ballot issue pamphlet on the back table. We also try to acquaint people with what is going to be on the ballot. I'm going to give these people a 3-minute time to introduce yourselves and tell why you're running and so on. And then after that, we'll have 3 questions, one at a time, and I will go one way and then I'll go the other way and then we'll mix it up. Okay. Okay. Meredith, would you like to introduce yourself to the public and tell why you're running and how long you've been on council and so on? Whatever you want to say.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you for hosting as well. I really appreciate it because it is so important for all of our residents to have access to this information, so thank you. My name is Meredith Leidy. I have been on council for 6 years. I served as a council member for 2, and I've just finished up 4 years as mayor. I am starting my 26th year in education, so that's what I have spent my life's work doing is community service and education. I'm an elementary school principal. That's what my day job is. I've been raising my family in North Glen for the last 12 years, and I'm just so proud of our city, and I love everything that we've been doing over the last, well, since I got here, and it's been really amazing. So I'm excited to run for mayor because I want to continue the work that has begun. When I ran 4 years ago, I made commitments to re-engage North Glen and the regional partnerships, and so that is something I have done and I'm very proud of, and I'd like to continue that work. I've been reflecting a lot over the last 4 years and talking to residents and hearing their questions, and it is really important for all of North Glen to know the different model we have for our city government. I do not have all this power that some people think, when they call and they have a question. I can help and I can support, but I cannot make decisions alone. And that has been something else I've been really proud of, is the partnerships and the teamwork on our council. So I'm one of 9. We work together to direct policy, and we listen to residents and we help shape that. But our city staff does a lot of that work. They're the boots on the ground, and they're amazing. I'm so proud of our city staff and all the work that they're doing. And we're really headed in a fantastic direction, and I'm excited to keep that momentum going. We have developed a really inclusive and welcoming community. We have a lot of celebrations, and things look really good. But we're tending to the things that we need to, our financial stability, our infrastructure, and it's just a really amazing place to be, especially in this day and time, and so I'm excited to continue that work.
Okay.
Thanks.
Tim?
Good evening. My name is Tim Long. I've been 24 years a resident in North Glen with my lovely wife, Donna. We have 6 children between us and 3 grandkids. I've been on council for 8 months, and my natural tendency is always to do management audits. That's what I do for a living. For 4 decades, I was a hospital administrator, healthcare strategic planner. I've worked in foreign lands as well as domestic here in Metro Denver. We have our own home-based business here in North Glen as well for continuing education of Waldorf teachers. The last 8 months, I have to share with you that I am very concerned. I believe that North Glen's at a tipping point. Looking at the budget that was presented to us Monday evening, for the next 5 years we'll be underwater. We have more expenses than we have revenues, so we'll be drawing down from our reserves which are capped at 25%, but within 3 to 4 years we'll be below that into 20%. And we're drawing down this year in the 2024 budget some $3.6 million. We have many things taking place that are concerning to me, none the least of which is the shortage of police officers on the street. Outside investigators and consultants have said to us that for a city our size, we should have 85 police officers on the street. And ladies and gentlemen, we're budgeted for 71, but we don't have that number on the street just now. In fact, our officers up until this last June were working 12-hour shifts. There's a fragile stability that we are trying to bolster, but it's very difficult. Council decided not to put any more money in for police officers, even though I projected we needed $500,000 for 5 new officers at a minimum. That did not come about. We're building a city hall that's net zero, and that cost has gone from $18 million to $34 million in order to meet those parameters. There are some out there, the scientists, that say that this net zero is a fantasy that can never come about. But nonetheless, we're going forward with that kind of commitment. I see need for roads, water treatment center, and the sewage treatment center, which I've toured and seen, and I'm concerned. But yet we have $612,000 for special events, and $250,000 we're going for a sustainability position this year, and I'll get to see that position description. You can see that we're, in my opinion, at a crossroads. We're at a tipping point for success, and none the least of which is my concern for the financial stability of this community. 5 years out, we'll be losing money every year for 5 years. If that doesn't concern the average voter out there, I don't know what can. Thank you.
Okay. Mark.
Right. Hi there, everybody. My name is Mark Bromley. I'm a local resident. I actually grew up here. The first elementary school I went to was East Lake Elementary School, which was where all the Northland kids used to go. And then I actually attended a lot of the elementary schools around the area. Went into Cotton Creek Elementary over in Westminster, then Huron Junior High, then Northland High School, class of '88. Attended Western University for 4 years over in Gunnison, Colorado. And then after that, I joined the Navy, worked on the flight deck of 2 aircraft carriers, learned a lot about leadership in the military there, and took care of 2 work centers, which was a bunch of hard charges. Really difficult job, mission critical. And those assignments were what I really did over there. I met my wife over in Hiroshima, Japan, so I'm a mixed racial family. I'm actually an Asian father and part of the colored community, so I know what a lot of people might feel when they're being discriminated against or being hated or not liked too much, and I've ran into that quite a bit from the city council itself. And basically, I came back here. I worked for Homeland Security, FEMA Emergency Management, and got to know a lot of people in law enforcement, in various rescue services throughout the western slope of Colorado into Utah and down into California, where eventually in California I opened up my own A-plus rated business with a BBB over in the shipyards. It's MPB Enterprises, and it's actually, I know how to fix things, I know how to get things done, and I know actually how to take care of the city of Northland. I mirror a lot of the comments that my opponent here, Tim Long, had actually voiced about the concerns, about financial concerns for the city of Northland. And I'm one of the best people to actually take care of that assignment because I have a lot of experience with the city of Northland, and I know it can be a lot better than what it is currently is. We've had to deal with issues of flooding recently on 112 because the city has decided for some reason to say because we're 50 years old they can't maintain the infrastructure too well, but my wife is like from Hiroshima, and if anybody remembers the history of Hiroshima, you know that Hiroshima is actually in very good shape right now. It's only about 10 years older than Northland, and it's in excellent shape compared to our own city. So we should be able to do a lot more with our resources that we have. But a lot of it gets misspent and misdirected for the last 4 years. I should have been mayor back in 2019 because our city just did not go the right way. Our city has actually spent way too much of our budget on a lot of parties, a lot of festivities, a lot of extra events that were unnecessary. They created a lot of bureaucracy that's unimportant. And those bureaucracies, they have a bunch of spending budgets. We have a top-heavy management in the city of Northland, and we don't really take care of the people the way we should be in the city of Northland. And I'm just here running for the people of Northland, my people of Northland. my city of Northland to make it better and make a greater future for our city of Northland. And that's really the only real reason why I'm running for office. Thank you very much, and pass it back to you.
Okay, well, I was going to ask you about the finances. You want to have 3 minutes to address what you would do, and you two have already said that. If you want to elaborate on what changes can be made. So, as far as the finances of the city and road improvement and whatever else you would like to comment on.
Am I starting
Yeah.
again? Can we all get
Well,
the same?
let's start at the other end. We'll start with Mark.
All right, thanks. Well, hi there, I'm Mark Bromley from Mayoral. And yeah, there's a lot of things that we could actually do with our finances to actually improve the city of Northland. We do have a lot of wasteful spending in duplicating jobs at the top level of our city management. That doesn't need to be duplicated. The city is actually quite small. It has not really grown that large to actually suggest all these additional add-ons of top level jobs. We do have a lot of extra jobs being doled out to other offices such as the courts, the CRU, which they keep expanding that and getting it more, it's getting more costly. Eventually it's going to exceed the ARPA funds that run out in 2024. And if the ARPA funds don't get replenished or replaced, then it's going to become a problem for the city of Northland itself, because they won't have to actually take that burden on by the city itself if it doesn't have ARPA funds or other federal funds that are coming into the city. So hopefully we get those federal funds by 2024, but it's up in the air. It's kind of questionable if that would actually happen. Now, there are a lot of activities that the city of Northland has turned into like festivities. We could actually streamline how many city ward meetings there are, how many mayor mingles happen, how many extra State of the Union, State of the City type events take place. There was a wasted funds on a drone light show when we just had a fireworks show for the 4th of July. And basically keeping Northland back to its essential functions is very important. And we don't need to be using our city budgets for special interest groups when they can actually come up to the city and run their own events by just simply petitioning the city and saying, hey, let's have our events over in Northland. If Northland's an inviting town, it's an excellent town. If people want to come over here and promote themselves, they should be able to take care of their own funding. The city shouldn't be having to fetch for every single far left extremist agenda that they have. And that's basically some of the things we can do for our finances to actually get in.
Okay, Tim?
Yes, thank you. The last 12 years, I've been serving as the treasurer in an elected position for the North Metro Fire Rescue District. Our budget went from $19 million to well over $52 million during that time. As the treasurer, I oversaw the direction of our 5-member board in terms of building new firehouses here in Northland, 62 and 63, on Irma and Huron respectively. We also built a brand new firehouse in Broomfield. Northland and Broomfield share this special district, which covers 160,000 people. And I was very proud to serve there, and they awarded me with a special honor of the bell that they only give learned, extended firemen who work their entire lives. So I was very taken with the award they presented me for that service on the fire district. What I'm sharing with you is I know how to do financial feasibility studies. I know how to do market assessments. And I've seen Northland, and we need help. We need to turn back some of these expenses that are a little bit, if I might say so, virtue signaling. Letting people feel good, let them dance, let them see themselves. But I gotta share with you folks, we need to have proper fiscal controls to make certain that things do not get awry. I also served for 7 years on the Northland Urban Renewal Authority. They also gave me a service award for serving 7 years there prior to my time on the Fire District Board. So I've had the experience of watching and working with good people, and I will share with this. You have a senior leadership team here on the staff in Northland, and it's fantastic folks. Some of them have master's degrees, many of themselves could be city managers. And what we're doing is we're taking away a lot of their responsibilities by educating the council to make decisions that should be left to the senior leadership of this community. And I think that's something that we look to for change.
Okay, Meredith?
Hi. Yes, and I have so much respect for Mr. Long's work on the fire board and his expertise with finance. I would say I'm going to counter the sort of doomsday approach and really let you know that we are in a strong financial position. When I first started on council, I had a lot to learn about city finance and how the budgets work, how the annual budget is created, top down. It is created by our amazing staff. And we are in solid financial state. So a few years ago, when we had the pandemic, we were in such a good position financially. We had 80% reserves, which is not best practice. And so council made the decision to intentionally spend it down, and that was done on purpose. And it was done on purpose with guidance and research and best practice. It wasn't just on a spending whim. We have a really strong finance team. They never advise us in a direction that would put the city at risk, ever. So what is being shared is the 5-year forecast that is always a part of a new annual budget. We will have plenty of reserves next year and for the next 2 years. We will make different decisions each year. There are different factors in play regarding revenues and expenditures that we will revisit every year. But it is best practice to do a 5-year forecast. So we have enough money, and we have enough money to do what the residents are asking us to do, which is continue building a strong and inclusive community. And so the dances or the parties or the events, that's what makes us a community. And I have talked to so many residents who seriously value the work that we do here to build that community.
Okay. What are some of the things that you might want to change in the government, in the Northland government? And we'll start again.
Oh, okay. What would I like to change with?
Anywhere in the government.
Anywhere, okay. Well, one of the things, I don't know that it's a huge change, but we would like to support our city manager and make sure she does have a deputy city manager. And that is not an unnecessary duplication of a position. It is a support position so that she can do her best work and our directors and our staff can get the support they need to be effective. So that's one of the things that we are asking, is that she hire a deputy city manager. I don't have a ton of change. I have directions that we're headed. So one of the things that's different about being on council, being mayor, is the regional work that I do. So I sit on the Mile High Flood District Board. I also sit on the Metro Mayor's Caucus and their executive committee. My focus there is regional partnerships, and we need to work as a region to support a creative solution for our unhoused population. That is a serious drive, and we're working regionally for that. And so that will help us make improvements and create a safer city for everyone. I also am part of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and next week, actually, I will be speaking on a panel at the Climate Summit in Vail, and that is part of the work that we're doing regionally to support a sustainable city. We can't make changes as a small city by ourselves. We have to work with our neighboring partners, and I have worked really hard to build those relationships, and so it's not so much a change as it is a continuing of the work and engaging our county commissioners and their staff and all of the mayors in Adams County so we continue doing the work that we've already started.
Tim?
We spent $100 million on the rec center, the new justice center, and upcoming our new city hall. That's a lot of money. We currently have a mortgage of $5.6 million, which nobody really talks about, which is uncertain and sometimes unfairly represented to our constituents. The council makes policy. The staff follows what we say on council, and they follow through what we say. When the finance director gives an objective presentation, it's not always presented in an understandable way, which is why I've had to kind of delve through and look at some of the numbers backwards and forwards, and I've asked him many times. We've worked together along with the city manager to try to understand what's really taking place. but they are an objective reflection of the policy decision being made by the city council. And unfortunately, we spend too much time, I think, in the minutia. I call it administrivia. Those things that could be left to the senior leadership of this city, which I think is in great shape. I've interviewed all of them, and I'm very impressed with how they work, how they go about their jobs, their integrity, their honesty. And I must share with you that I think many is the time they feel that perhaps, without saying it, they're being put upon to do things that are a little bit extracurricular, that are some of the whims that council carries to them. And unfortunately, we are in a position where the staff has not been able to say no. We should take a better look at ourselves and how we present ourselves and what are really the priorities for spending money. I am very concerned with 112th and what's taking place there. With everything that's taking place, they had a terrible storm on July 4th, again on September 14th. They were flooded, they've come to us for help, and we say, no mas, there's nothing we can do. We're so sorry. Our attorneys tell us it's not possible. We should do something there.
Okay, Mark?
Well, there's an old saying, and it says that basically the more things change, the more they remain the same, which is actually a constant norm and stuff like that. The city of Northland can actually redirect its efforts to being a city government, not a babysitter, not coddling, wokeism, CRT, DEI, whatever floats somebody's independent special interest group's boat. That's not what a city's actually here for. What we're here for is to keep our law enforcement in place, to make sure that it's strong, to keep our emergency services in place, to make sure that they're able to provide fire, medical, the necessary resources to keep our citizens safe, taking care of our streets, preventing cars from speeding up and down our streets, putting in simple, cost-effective speed bumps or speed dips across Northland would actually preserve a lot of people's lives. I mean, I sat there, saw a speeder go down Sylvia, a little kid of 4 years old just run across that street 10 minutes later. If they had met at the same time, that would have been a bad situation. These are just simple things that the city of Northland could do. There was flooding on 112. That could actually be done too. You could shift that road 5 feet to the north and just give it plenty of drainage for that ditch, saving $7 million, $15 million in homes along that route right there in that area in Ward 1. And there are so many just simple infrastructure things that are missing throughout the city of Northland. Like the Greenway Trail is not complete. It is not completed all the way up to Fox Run. And Fox Run's been over there for over 20 years. It's still not complete. Now, I know Northland that used to actually get things done. It used to do its jobs, but now it's struggling. It's having a hard time. And by voting for me as Mark Bromley for mayor, these things can be improved, made better, and are a better future.
Okay, let's shift gears and tell me why you enjoy living in Northland. So we'll start with Mark.
Well, I enjoy living in Northland because my family's here. Hi, Mom. Thanks for watching. My brother's Ron's watching. My sisters are watching. I have an extended family, a very large family here. I'm pretty local. I know the Bromleys that the Bromley Lane's named after. We've talked quite a few times. And, I get all around Adams County, Westminster, Thornton, Northland. Well, Northland's been my home for a long time. Eventually, I reluctantly had to join the Navy and stuff because there just wasn't enough jobs. There wasn't a lot of good economic conditions here. So that's what brought me to the Navy. And then I traveled a bit with Homeland Security, ended up in California. But I ended up right back here to Northland. So I'm tied to this land. I'm indigenous to this region. And basically, even though as a George Floyd of this community, I know the community can be a lot better. It should be a lot better. And if you really love your town, you stay, you stop, and you fight for what's really important. And trying to lead my city to a better future is why I'm actually really here. And that's why I really care about the people of Northland, the community of Northland, and all of the schools I experienced here were good. And I'm just sad to see that some of it's not doing as well as it could. And if we change the way that we're doing all those kind of businesses and bring those things back to what they're supposed to be, fix our schools, put them where they're supposed to be, they will be able to actually have a Northland that I knew was good. And we will be able to be respected by Adams County, Westminster, and Thornton once again as a real legitimate city. And I think that's why I like Northland, because it was small, it's a nice town. Every single street I go down, I remember people. I run into neighbors that I met a long time ago when I was growing up and having fun across Northland. I recall a lot of things. It's just an excellent town. It's a good town for me. That's what I was here for.
Okay. Tim?
Northland is my hometown, and every time I stand in city council chambers, even before I was put on the board, on the council, I always started off with that statement. Northland is my hometown. I really truly feel that in my heart. I love my neighbors. We have some great exchanges, but I've also met a lot of the worker bees in this community and staff. And the concern I have, I'm just going to share with you, it's safety. On a scale of 1 to 100, with a city our size, 100 being the safest, the FBI ranks us as a 3. We're number 1 in car thefts, catalytic converters. They steal cars in Northland and do their crimes in Denver. And again, our officers are spread awfully thin in sharing what they do when they confide in me. I'm very concerned sometimes when I hear their words, how people are turned out of, the DA doesn't quite press the issue enough, and after all the paperwork, all the time, and then having to show up in court to make a statement, they're out with a $150 fine right away. It's a little bit spooky. So when I sit with my senior friends in our neighborhood every Wednesday, you can find us there. We started meeting with one another in COVID. There's about a dozen of us. The elder stateswoman is 98 years old, and she is still sharp as a tack with her comments. And she is very worried about things that she sees and hears when she goes to the senior center. People do talk. And I've been meeting a whole lot of folks because of this election, and people are reaching out to me, and I have to share their concerns. And the greatest concern I have, as much as I love this town, is the naivete. They don't feel like they're being communicated with. They don't know. They don't understand. So they're asking all kinds of questions, which is why I jettisoned them into this presentation so you can see where their concerns are coming from. These are not made up concerns, these are heartfelt.
Hi. I'm pretty sure the question was, what do you love about Northland? So I'm going to stay with my long list. So when I moved here, I had 2 small children, and I joined a community that was so welcoming and so kind, and it really was just a lovely place to be. So much so that I wanted to become more involved. And when I joined the city council, I learned so much, and I met all of the hardworking people that we have on staff. But then I also got to tap into the smaller communities, the senior organization, the ladies that meet for coffee and then go to the rec center, all the pickleball players. Like there's so much community, and there is so much joy. And I guess I'm a little sad that my colleagues don't feel it, because I feel it every day. And I know that as I dug deeper and when I became the mayor, I really had more access to everyone, and each individual staff member is dedicated and kind. Our police officers have such integrity. Everyone is a let me fix it, let me help, how can I be a part of it? Our community connection team, they probably have a fancy name, but my brain just stopped. They reach out, they do extra, everyone goes above and beyond, and everyone is so resident focused. So are we perfect? Absolutely not. And that's why when I go out, I'm like, hey, use that Access Northglenn app. Tell us what's missing, tell us what you're seeing, tell us what we can't see, because we are small. I also really appreciate where we stand in the region, and that was something that I'm proud of, because I worked really hard to get us there, but also in line with previous mayors. So when I think back to Kathy Novak, Joyce Downing, Carol Dodge, great mayors to follow.
Okay, thank you very much, all 3 of you, and good luck.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Are we done?
Oh, thank you very much for watching. And conversation.
I didn't know any of that. Does anybody know how to silence an iPhone? Because I don't.
What?
Does anybody know how to silence an iPhone?
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. She's gonna die.
Okay, what time are we starting next one?
Okay, so now that you're in mono, you got 2 channels?
It always has. Got it.
Okay, hold on. So I'm gonna bring up the volume again.
It doesn't sound any different.
What?
Doesn't sound different.
Doesn't sound any different? Hold on a second, I'm gonna try one more thing. Menu.
They'll be on YouTube tomorrow. What time is this next one? 6:45 to 13 minutes. Yes. I'm gonna step outside for like 2 minutes. Where is the rest? So if you go out this door and hang a left, they'll be on your left, like if you have a divider wall.
Okay, how about now? Same thing?
Yeah. That's the thing, you might want to just check into your recording to see if there's 2 different channels that you can hear.
I have a monitor on one channel.
Oh, yeah, they did explain that.
Yeah.
But it'd be
And
really,
I'm getting a line in, so.
I don't think Spencer is here. If he shows up, we need to flip for Spencer to make him invalid.
Can I just get a new one? My
Okay.
name is spelled wrong. There's no R.
Diana, the mics are on and they can hear
If
it.
you have a marker, I can.
The mics are on, did you know?
Megan just texted.
Oh, because
Good evening to our watching audience and to the audience in the room. I am Marge Ennis. I'm the Voter Service Chair for the Adams County League of Women Voters. I've been doing candidate meetings for a long time, and we also do ballot issue information, which we have, I think, some of them back on the table in the back to give you information about. There's 2 issues on the ballot. We're going to start with Adam, and I am going to ask, you have 3 minutes, and you're going to introduce yourself and tell whatever you would like to tell about yourself. So, it is yours.
All right, thank you. And thank you to the Adams County Women League of Voters for hosting this. And for the staff of the Justice Center, the police officers for allowing us this space. Thank you everyone for being here and everyone watching at home. My name is Adam Nowicki. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Arizona. I moved to Colorado in 2011 with my girlfriend, now my wife. And we lived in Denver for a few years, and then in 2019, we moved to North Glen. So actually next month I celebrate 4 years in North Glen. Since that time, we have had a child. So I have a beautiful 2-year-old daughter who hopefully is getting ready for bed. Hi, Mama Shark. We've also, within the last year, had my mom move in as well. So we're now a multi-generational household. I love living in North Glen. I love this city. I love this kind of small town feel, right on the outskirts of a big major metropolitan city. Certainly that brings some challenges, and we will get we'll get into a little bit of that. But I think North Glen has an opportunity for a lot of celebration of joy. And I think that's what attracts me to it, and is the reason I want to raise my family here. A little bit about my background. I've been in the, next year I'll celebrate 20 years in community mental health. And I am a licensed clinical social worker and a licensed addictions counselor, both in the state of Colorado. So I think I bring a different twist in that I don't necessarily come from a political background. I come from kind of the social work world and the mental health and addiction world. I think that's what makes me uniquely qualified to be a candidate for Ward 2. And I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of you out there and continuing the work. I want to address 5 kind of key areas. Number 1, safety and well-being of our community, right? That includes supporting the police, making sure they have the funding necessary, as well as supporting the crisis response unit. Number 2, addressing homelessness and housing. Those are big issues, and I think you deserve someone who's thoughtful about that. Number 3, economic development and growth. That's important to North Glen and will continue to be so as we go forward. Number 4, infrastructure. We have to make sure that we're improving our infrastructure and maintaining accessibility. I think we see a lot of that going on around us. And the last one, number 5, community engagement and transparency. Really making everyone feel included and that their voice can be heard. Thank you.
Okay. Laura.
Okay, thank you everyone. The league, the police, all you that showed up, and everybody out there in TV land. My name is Laura Garcia Pasco, and I'm running for North Glen City Council, Ward 2. And what brought me here is kind of a long story, so I'll kind of make it quick. My dad actually graduated from Adams City High School, and then he went to the Army, got married. I was born in Germany, actually. And then they came back here and made Colorado their home. So we are Colorado natives. But I didn't move to North Glen until about 2 years ago. And then me and my husband just celebrated our 28th wedding anniversary last Saturday. And I celebrated by passing out flyers. Yay. And so we have 2 children, and they're both adult children. My daughter's getting married, so I'm planning that wedding as well as running for city council. And also, I have a brother that lives in my ward, Ward 2, with his family. And so, to bring it all back, my dad has now 4 grandchildren that live in Ward 2. So I'm kind of proud of that, and I really like it. But what got me here is I've always been kind of a stay-at-home mom, but I've also worked from home. And I've been with that company for over 20 years, and it's a home health care company. And so I just raised my kids, and then now I have all this time on my hands. So I'm not sure what to do with myself. My mom once told me that I should run for politics, and I didn't really think anything of it at the time. And I just have this, I just want to be engaged in my community. That's really important to me. With whatever's happening in the world, in our state, in our country, in the world, we see it. We see the devastation. We see everybody's polarized. I want to bring that. I want to bring not that here, but I want to make us better citizens so that we can go ahead and deal with all the things that are outside of our community and do it together so that we can become closer. A tight-knit community is very important, because when you have a tight-knit community, all the other things really kind of take care of themselves. So the 3 things that I'm going to be really focusing on is safety, safe neighborhoods, accountable leadership, and attracting businesses so that we can raise those funds so that we can keep our city growing and keep moving in the right direction.
Okay. The next question is one that we've been discussing with some other candidates. What do you think the financial situation of North Glen is? Tim Wong states that North Glen will be going negative in its fund level in a few years. The rec center and the justice center could be repossessed. New employees have increased by 100 in the past 10 years, but the population has not increased very much. All this debt was taken on without a vote of the people in the form of a certificate of participation. Do you have any feeling about that, Laura?
So as far as the financials of North Glen go, I don't have the privy of the 3 that sat before us. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that. But I do know in order to keep our revenues up, we need to attract businesses, and we need to bring those businesses that are aligned with our community. And so when that happens, then you will bring in more people. And like they said, we're a small little city, but have that big time feel. We're right off that highway. Hey, let's stop in North Glen. I hear they have this great little shop over here. Something like that. And that way we can all get together behind something like that. And I just think it's a great idea if we are able to bring in businesses and boost our revenue so that we don't come into those issues of being in a hole a couple years from now.
Okay. Adam?
Yeah, I really appreciated the kind of discussion and the nuance before me. Budgets are important, right? As a small business owner, as a husband, a father who helps with, running the household, I certainly, try and keep my family on a budget, try and keep my business on a budget. So I know they are important. The city is no different. We have to operate according to a budget, and there are a lot of smart people that have a lot of input on that budget. So for me to sit here and say, I know exactly what we should do, unfortunately, I don't think I'm in that position yet. That said, as the council member for Ward 2, that's the position I want to be in, and certainly looking at how can we be kind of fiscally conservative while also having spending on things that bring people in, things like the Pride event, things like the car shows, things like that bring people into the community. Those are all things I can take my daughter to and everyone else can bring their families too, right? And again, it's a celebration of joy. So with that said, we do need to do more to attract businesses here, and particularly small businesses, right? I'd like to see more kind of economic development around the North Glen marketplace, and I know that's part of the discussion, you know, and the excitement around pros coming in. I mean, I'm part of, Ward 2 is part of Carl's Farm. I look forward to the opportunities, you know, of businesses there as well, and other areas around the city where we might be able to kind of put some small businesses as well.
Okay. What do you love about North Glen?
Okay. There's a lot to love about North Glen. You know, I think for me, the thing that made me want to run is the neighborhood feeling. I got real close with my neighbors. Shout out to Kathy and Fred. You know, every Thursday I do coffee time with them. You know, I spent a year taking care of my daughter, and every Thursday I'd come over and have coffee. That's kind of the vibe of North Glen, right? I know the other neighbors in my community. We watch out for one another. So having that kind of small town feel, while also, you know, being on the outskirts of a major metropolitan city. That brings, again, its own kind of challenges and its own joys. I love that, you know, I could just step outside my house and be on a little trail around the city. You know, I love being able to kind of greet the neighbors, host events at my house. One of the events we hosted this year was the North Glen Night Out for the police, and that was excellent. It was a great, besides the weather did not cooperate very, very well. But it was great to have the city council come. I feel that city council is accessible. You know, I'd love it if the residents could really kind of see just how accessible things are to the city council and things like that. I'm raising my family here. I plan to live here for a long time. We're currently in the process of constructing an ADU in our backyard, so if anyone wants to hear about the joys and headaches of that, I'm welcome to talk, catch me afterward. It's an accessory dwelling unit, for those that don't know. It's kind of a long, weird name. But we're putting down roots. My daughter will go to the elementary schools. We also work in the community as well, so we want to continue to live here for a long time.
Okay. Laura?
What do I love about North Glen? My best friend, who lives in Ward 1, hi Mary. Of course, my children who live here, and my brother that lives just like literally blocks away from where I live. So, but when we were trying to find a place to live, because I helped take care of my grandfather, because my mother was having a hard time going back home, and so I suggested, hey, you know, let me and my husband come in, and that way you don't have to spend the night, and we got weekend duty, and we'll just help take care of him. And then when he passed away, we had to figure out where we were going to move to. And so as we were looking, this North Glen just had everything. The accessibility, the highway's right there. We could get to places really easily. My son is in a band, so we love to go watch whenever they play. It's a lot of times downtown at the Art Walk Festival. So it's just really easy to get around from here. And it's a little bit away from the big city too. So it just felt right when we found the house and saw one of my neighbors, and I just started talking to him and just fell in love with him. I also have, I was looking for a church to go to, and I went down 2 houses down from me, and these people are just wonderful, and they invited me to their church, and I've been going to their church ever since, and I've just made really good friends with the neighbors around me, and I really love that about North Glen, just being able to go out there and just say, hey, my name is so-and-so, and nice to meet you. So it's got a nice to meet you feel.
Okay, thank you. Laura, Is there one thing that you would like to change if you get onto city council?
So I haven't been able to participate in some of the activities that Northland has to offer. I did go down to some festival they had this past summer. But I'm a busy gal because I do work, even though I work from home, a full-time job, and I have a part-time job as well to help pay for my daughter's wedding coming up. So I'm a busy gal. But yeah, I would like to see more local community things like block parties. I was talking to one neighbor and they said that people it's just a little U-shaped street and people will bypass the other streets and go through their streets and there's children on either side and they just zip up and down. I would like to maybe able to pinpoint those areas and set up block parties so that our neighbors are aware of, hey, there's children here. And we should be really talking to our neighbors and hope that will help break down, hey, this is why you don't speed. We do have some neighbors that don't like to abide by the speed limits. So if we can reach out to our neighbors and have more one-on-one, I think that would help out in bringing our community closer together. I didn't need to eat up all that time.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Well, if there was one thing that you would like to change when you get on city council, what would it be?
Okay. So you said one thing. It sounds like they already mentioned the sidewalks,
Yeah.
which as someone who walks with his wife and daughter on the sidewalks, one of us usually has to walk in the street, which isn't great. So.
Same in Westminster.
Yeah. So I don't know what was going on 50 years ago. I would really like to see the speeding better addressed. And again, and I think Laura talked a little bit to that. Addressing speeding. I live right off of Claude Court. My daughter's just now getting to the age where she's 2.5, so she's just now getting the age where she'll start riding a bike. I'm really fortunate that they put the speed humps in right as we were moving in because it scares me how fast some of those people can go. And I do worry for when she starts kind of riding a bike, what that will look like with regard to the speeding. So certainly finding ways to get people, unfortunately, it would be nice if people would just slow down. But looking at ways to kind of help facilitate that. As well as this is my second one, and I'm sorry I'm ignoring your question, as well as some of the congestion around schools in the morning. I talked to one resident who said, hey, maybe we could have a stop sign here at 115th and Urban, maybe that'd be a good idea. And, take things like that back to the city council to really address.
Okay. I think that does it for us. Thank you very much for watching. Those of you at home watching TV, we're very glad to have you. And thank you to you two council candidates. Good evening, everyone at home watching our proceedings here at the North Glen City Council candidate meeting. I'm Marge Ennis. I'm the Voter Service Chair for the Adams County League of Women Voters. And our mission is to help voters know what they're voting on. So, and along that line, there are some pamphlets. These are available in libraries too, and city halls on the ballot issues. There are 2 ballot issues on the ballot. Okay. I'm going to ask you, the first question will be to introduce yourself, tell who you are, and tell why you want to be on city council. So we'll start with Preston.
Wonderful. I'm Preston Evans. I was born at St. Anthony's North in North Glen, and I have been a lifelong North Glen resident. I'm passionate about the city, and I would like to do whatever I could to help keep it a beautiful and wonderful place to live. I went through Adams 12 schools and was fortunate enough and worked hard enough to get a Better Scholarship, which allowed me to attend the University of Denver, where I obtained a master's degree in public policy analysis. So what I bring to the table is passion for North Glen, knowledge of North Glen, and skill at analyzing policy and asking the right questions, making the right decisions. I really value the League of Women Voters putting on this event. When I was growing up, I had a single mom. She worked 2 jobs, and she didn't have time to vote. So I think that things like League of Women Voters, getting this knowledge out there, getting this access out there, and having North Glen with mail-in ballots, every inch of access is a mile of democracy. So I really value this event, and I would like to do everything in my power to help keep North Glen beautiful and amazing. My background is policy analysis, not politicking, so I will cede the remainder of my time. My goal is to do the job and do a good job of it, and not try to be boastful, just to try to do a good job for North Glen and analyzing policy, making the right choices. Thank you.
Okay. Andrew.
Thank you. My name is Andrew Thompson. I grew up here in Colorado, Aurora, Colorado. Graduated from high school in Aurora, went to college in Fort Collins, went to law school in Denver, and decided to raise my family here in North Glen. We've been here for 6 years. My oldest daughter is 6 years old. My youngest daughter is 3 years old. My wife moved here from Ohio to be here in Colorado because it's a wonderful place to live. I'm running for city council for a lot of the reasons why a lot of people run for city council is we have a vision for this city and we want to see it through. For a lot of us, for the children that we have, we're trying to build a city that we might not even fully appreciate, but it's something that we're trying to leave to our children, our grandchildren. I like this place a lot. My neighbors were very welcoming when we moved in. Some of my neighbors are currently my best friends. And what I think I bring to the table is a career as a lawyer that has given me some skills in analyzing problems, solving problems, working with people, debating people. And it's just something that I've honed over a career of about 15 years. And I feel like there's a way, despite that, throughout my career, I've helped hundreds of people, dozens and dozens of families. There's a way of making a bigger impact. And I think I'm ready for that part of my career. And so I'm throwing my hat in the ring to run for city council and apply those talents there.
Okay. Jody.
Hi, I'm Jody Roper, and I am a mom, I'm an educator, and I've been a resident of North Glen for more than 20 years. I've raised my family here, and I'm still raising my family here. I'm also a proud principal of assistant principal of an Adams 12 school, and I've really watched North Glen become and maintain this amazing community atmosphere. There are so many things that I love about North Glen. If you've read anything about me, I grew up coming to the North Glen Mall as a child. My dad would bring us to Fur's Cafeteria, which was an amazing treat. I also played soccer growing up. I played soccer on the fields of North Glen, and the best part was going to the Dairy Queen that was in the Gaylord Center off of Washington Street and having a treat there. And now I have had the ability to watch my children grow up here and continue to grow and thrive here. honestly, living here for 20 plus years, I haven't had many complaints that I love so much about our city. But then over the past few months, I did hear some things that made me concerned. And as a woman, as a mother, as an educator, I knew that my voice mattered, and I knew that there were people in my community who wanted their voices heard as well. So I'm here to make a difference. I'm here to work tirelessly for our city. I'm a compassionate listener. I believe in collaboratively working together, and I believe in this position you cannot come with just your own agenda. You have to be able to look at both sides and represent all of Ward 4, all of North Glen, because everyone's voice matters.
Okay. Earlier, we were talking about the financial situation in North Glen, and I don't know if I'm sure you're aware of this. Tim Long stated that North Glen will be going negative in its fund level in a few years. The rec center and the justice center could be repossessed. New employees have increased by 100 in the past 10 years, so that now the standard of living, well, now there are at least 100 more employees than there were, and the population has not increased that much. And all of this debt was taken on without a vote of the people in the form of a certificate of participation. What are your feelings about this? And I'll start with Jody.
Okay. I was able to take a look at the budget that was proposed and shown to council on Monday evening. As a longtime resident of North Glen and as someone who leads a building within a school district here within our community, budgets are important. Of course, we have to be fiscally responsible. It's our responsibility to be responsible to our constituents, our citizens, and our community. However, I think our city has really done a great job of aligning themselves with a strategic plan. How are we prioritizing and how are we benefiting our community as a whole? How are we prioritizing safety, youth advocacy, our unhoused individuals? How are we making sure that everyone's needs are met, but also being responsible? Of course, we can't go willy-nilly with our expenses, as none of us can. And I think one thing that definitely I've learned in my experience as a leader through COVID and through the past few years is we have to be willing to be flexible. We have to be willing to make those hard decisions when those times come. But ultimately, what's best for our community, what's best for our city and our children, they're our future, and that's what matters.
Okay. Andrew.
Thank you. What we heard today from Mr. Long concerning the financial condition of the city was a bit eye-opening. But I'll remind everybody that what we also heard was that was a doom and gloom kind of a picture. Obviously, part of being on the city council is getting to the bottom of that, and that's always been the intention with my involvement. I strongly suspect, because we're just human, that we have put in place certain projects that we thought were important and are no longer important. We might have projects that we'd like to do that are underfunded. Balancing that all out, analyzing all that. That's a skill that I would bring, and I actually look forward to doing. It's housekeeping. That said, I also think that the doom and gloom picture, it can be distracting. I think everyone would agree that one thing that North Glen would benefit from, whether we're in a financially dire situation or not, is a culture that continues to promote small and medium-sized businesses. My focus would be that, and it would seem if we have an issue with our financial future, that could be part of the solution. Auditing, review, budgeting would definitely be other parts of it. But if everything is, as also promised by the people who spoke today, if we're on the level and everything's actually going in a positive direction, we still would benefit from encouraging small business growth. Drawing medium-sized businesses in. That is the primary thing that I am interested in. I would love to develop relationships with companies, show them what Northglenn has to offer, and induce them to come.
Okay. Preston?
I believe that the two pillars of a government are responsibility and empathy. Responsibility, making sure that you have a balanced budget, making sure that you are not spending money frivolously. But empathy, making sure that you are spending money appropriately, that underserved communities, communities in need are receiving those dollars, especially communities who maybe don't have representation, whose identity is not validated. I know that there have been some recent events with the Northglenn City Council where individuals in certain communities did not feel that identity recognized and did not feel that validated. So when it comes to the financial situation, I think that both of those need to be considered heavily. What gives me faith is I was at a city council meeting a couple of months ago where they were discussing revenue from water usage, sprinklers, etc. We'd had a very rainy couple of months, and so revenue was down from projections. The fact that that is being monitored and tracked on the budget says a lot to me about how our government, our local city council, is actively monitoring that situation. As Mr. Thompson said, I don't believe that this is a doom and gloom situation worthy of fear mongering. I think this is a situation where responsible, level-headed people in positions of power to make the right decision will make the right decision if they ask the right questions. That's a big part of what my master's degree was making sure that you are able to balance a budget, that you can evaluate different stakeholders, that you know the values of different things in a community, different services and different things that the city council is offering. When I was in my master's program, actually, if you've renewed your car recently, you might have been offered a $29 pass to go to all the state parks locally. That was an idea I generated in a group project when we were working with the Colorado State Parks Society, or Colorado State Parks. That was an idea that I came up with, and I'm glad to see that they implemented. I don't know that I can take credit for it 8 years later, but I think that creative solutions combining empathy and responsibility is the way we move forward without causing any concern for our constituents.
Last question. What are some of the things you might want to change in the Northglenn government, and why do you enjoy living in Northglenn?
Good question. I think that the reasons that I enjoy living in Northglenn I could go on about for far longer than the 2 minutes that have been allotted to me. Whether that's burritos at Tamale Kitchen or picking up a board game at Advantage Games, I'm a fervent supporter of our local businesses from across the gamut. And so I think that Northglenn has as was said earlier, a small town with big vibes. And I think that that's very true. I've lived in other cities, and when you wake up on a Saturday morning and have to run errands, it doesn't feel that bad in Northglenn. You're gonna interact with friendly people, you're gonna have nice streets, there's clean water in our pipes, there's clean air in our houses. I think that there's a lot that Northglenn has that other places that I've lived just simply don't. And it's stuff that is easy to take for granted unless you really look at it. I think that a lot of the local events that are put on are a huge boon to our community. The food truck day that Northglenn puts on. I have a friend who lives in Littleton who drove up for that, had never heard of Northglenn, but knows about Northglenn now. So I think that the government does a great job, the city council does a great job of making this a great place to live, and I would love to be a part of that. As far as what needs to be changed, at the city council meetings that I've been to, I feel that too much time goes into friendly discussions of what maybe a city councilman or a city council member has done with their time or in their official capacity. And I felt like about a third of the time on a council meeting goes into politicking and 2/3 then into policy analysis. And I would like to see that shifted closer to 90-10. We are paid by the people to analyze policy and make good decisions. And if we are spending our time talking about all the good that we've done, we're not doing that. I would like to trust that my government is doing good, and in the seat of the government, I would like to just simply do the work, do a good job, and help keep Northglenn a place that has so many things to love.
Very good. Andrew?
Thank you. My understanding is that you were asking about what would we change about the government.
You want me to repeat it?
Let's do that.
Okay. What are some things you might want to change in Northglenn government, and why do you enjoy living in Northglenn?
Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's start very easily about what I like about living in Northglenn. When I first moved to Northglenn, it was my #1 priority to befriend everyone on my block. Because at the time that I moved here, I had a 3-month-old daughter, and I knew that when she got to be about the age she is now, 6 years old, that I wanted her to have the experience that I had growing up, where I could leave the house, ride my bike, walk to the park, and that my neighbors would follow me along the way and keep an eye on me. They know who I was, they knew where I came from, and in that way, my daughter was part of a community that was within her field of vision. And I got that. If you were to visit my block today, you would find that just about every one of my neighbors has my sign in their front yard asking me to be a city councilman. And the ones that don't, I have to apologize to because I know they want one. But the things that I would change is that experience that I get, oddly enough, is a privilege because there have been some remarks that have occurred here that are disturbing. And it's what's been said in council, it's been said by what's been said by council members, it's the behavior of certain council members, but even I have a neighbor on my block who has just moved in, celebrated her pride by hanging flag, and after being confronted by someone walking down the street who extended a middle finger at her, has pulled that away. She deserves to enjoy Northglenn as much as anybody else.
Okay. Jody?
Of course, every business, every community, every family has opportunities for growth. And I think as my colleagues have mentioned, I think we all are concerned about some of the things that have occurred in Northglenn over the past few months. I love this city. I love this city passionately. I want us to be on 9 News for the amazing improvements at the skate park, for the state of the city, for all the amazing things we're doing. Not because of the bickering, not because of the down talking to our citizens, to our neighbors, to our family. As my colleagues have said, everyone deserves a voice and everyone deserves to belong and feel valued here in Northglenn. And that's not happening for everyone. So that's definitely something that I would work passionately to change. As far as what I love, I think I've already said, I love so much about our community. I love that we are a community. I love that my children call our next door neighbor Grandma. Hi, Miss Judy. I love that we shovel each other's driveways. I love that we're there for each other. Even for the people we may not know, we pick up and we do great things for each other. We pitch in when we need to. I love that I brought my children to the teddy bear picnic when they were little. And I love that they have those memories of Northglenn. Will be with them forever. I love our historic buildings. St. Stephen's Church, Deza Estates. Those are things that are part of our legacy. And I want our legacy going forward to be positive, to be something that we are all proud of and that we can stand behind.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, all 3 of you. That's all the questions I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the listeners and viewers at home.